Shalom, Yasharala, this your brother Hadar with the sect of Sakari out here in Phoenix. Today we're going to get into this 12 tribe breakdown, how we know who the 12 tribes are today over here in the Western Hemisphere. Disclaimer, I will say, this is for the Western Hemisphere, the Americas, right? If anything, speaking about revision of the chart, nothing on the chart needs to be taken away, right? We know these people fit the curses, the prophecies, the history of the Bible. We know that the 12 tribes chart is accurate for the Western Hemisphere. As far as revision goes, we can add to it as far as who the Israelites are on the Eastern Hemisphere. We know we have brothers over there. According to the Bible, Israel was scattered into every nation under heaven. So shout out to the brothers that actually go out to the Eastern Hemisphere to find out who the Israelites are. With that being said, I want to get right into this, and we're going to start with Genesis 49, right? The chart, for the most part, is based off of the prophecies in Genesis 49 and the spiritual gifts as far as Deuteronomy 33 goes, right? This is Genesis 49, and I'll start at 1. It says, "And Jacob called unto his sons, and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days." So, Israel, or Jacob, gathers his sons together, and he's going to prophesy to them what's going to happen to their descendants in these last days. It says, "Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father." Verse 3, "Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch," right? So, Reuben, we ascribe to the Seminole Indians. The reason being, the reason we have them separate from the Gadites, which are the rest of the Northern American Indians or the Native Americans, is the way the strength they have, right? The Seminole Indians are the only native tribes that didn't make any treaties with America. When we get into Gad, we know they made over 500 treaties with the Europeans once they came over here and started these wars with them. The Seminole Indians didn't do that. It says they're the excellency of his strength, right? So, and Reuben was the firstborn, so getting into that, just a little more edification on the firstborns being a little stronger, first creatures being stronger than people we have today. We know our forefathers were not hopped up on GMOs and this polluted air system and this water. So there's strength in the first creations more so than the latter, right? So this is 2nd Esdras 5 and 51. It says, "He answered me and said, Ask a woman that bears children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, Wherefore are not they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature? And she said, Answer thee, and she shall answer thee. They that be born in the strength of youth are of one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age when the womb faileth are otherwise. Consider thou therefore also how that ye are less of stature than those that were before you. And so are they that come after you less than ye, as the creature which now begin to be old, and have passed over the strength of youth." So there's strength in youth. Reuben being the firstborn, he's said to be the excellency of power, excellency of dignity, right? But it says he's unstable as water. This is going into how the Seminoles conduct themselves as far as nationhood. These were a loosely banded together people. right? Nomads as well. They didn't have a structure nationally as some other people do. So, like I said, Reuben was the firstborn. Let's get into Deuteronomy 33. 33 and 13. No. Deuteronomy 33 and 6. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few. Right? So that's not really what I wanted. Let's go to First Chronicles 5. First Chronicles 5 and 18. Right? Like I said, Reuben was the only native tribe that didn't make a treaty with the Americas. They fought them off. They even held them to stalemates, right? So this is First Chronicles 5 and 18. The sons of Reuben and the Gadites, which are the Native Americans, and the half tribe of Manasseh, which are the Cubans, of valiant men, men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war, were 440,703 score that went out to the war. So the Cubans, the Seminole Indians, the Native Americans were skillful warriors, able to shoot with the bow. This is with the other prophecies about how they were in strength, excellency of strength. This is how we attribute who this is, right? We already went into a video, I might post that, of proving who we are nationally. This is how we prove who we are tribally within the nation, right? So let's go back to Genesis 49. Genesis 49 and 5 says, and Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitation. O my soul, come not thou into their secret unto their assembly. Mine honor, Salakia, mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they digged down a well. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So it says, we know that all 12 sons were brothers, right? It says Simeon and Levi were their brothers because they live on the same island in the latter days, right? This is a prophecy of the latter days. The Haitians and the Dominicans live on the same island. Haitians actually keep the name that the Simeonites gave to the island, right? And it says, instruments of cruelty are in their hand. When you go to the island of the Dominican Republic, when you look at the Haitians, they're dealing with a lot of voodoo. When you deal with the Simeonites, they're dealing with, what is that called? Santeria, right? So these are instruments of cruelty that are in their hand. Also, these are people who some people might look at as cruel. These rappers, when they speaking about going to war with other gangs, they always use Haitians as Haitian. They always say, "I can call up these Haitians," right? Because they have this cruelty about them, indifference to life at some points in time. So let's go to Deuteronomy 33 again. Starting at like 5, I want to say 4 or 5. All right, Deuteronomy 33 and 8. Is it 8? Yeah, Deuteronomy 33 and 8 says, And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massa, and with whom thou didst strive at the waters of Meribah, who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee and hold burnt sacrifice upon thine altar. All right, so this is going into the indifference of so-called Haitian people, right? They don't care if you're their mom, you're their children, you're their father, you're their brothers. They are, for the most part, probably the most spiritual of the tribes. Levi means, or Loya means to be joined unto Yah, right? Joined unto Yahweh. These people won the priesthood because they were indifferent to partiality, right? They're not going to be partial in judgment. This is why they are the priest of the Most High. They carry out their judgments with no partiality. It says, And of Levi he said, Let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One. The Urim and the Thummim would be something the Levites would cast lots with, right? Like an oracle, a spiritual oracle that would give them certain answers on certain things they needed to know. Even today, the Haitians, they'll throw like chicken bones or certain things like this dealing with the voodoo on the left hand side of it, where they're still casting lots. They're using the blessings that the Most High gave them on the right hand side now on the left hand side because they're lost and discontinued from their heritage, right? But we know that these people, they're still priestly priestly correspondences as far as the Levites go and the Haitians go today in their voodoo practices, right? Let's go to keep going on that. It says in verse 10, They shall teach Jacob thy judgments and Israel thy law. They shall put incense before thee and hold burnt sacrifice upon thine altar. They're still using incense and sacrifices in the witchcraft that they use today. Like I said, we are discontinued from our heritage, so the blessings that we had before that were meant for righteousness, we're still using them. We're just using them on the right hand side or on the left hand side, right? Using them in a wicked fashion. But it says in verse 11, Bless Lord his substance and accept the work of his hands. So Levi was blessed with a blessing that the other tribes necessarily weren't blessed with. Like I said, Reuben was, or the so-called Seminole Indians, they were blessed with strength, a certain strength that let them war with their adversaries and be in a stalemate, right? They weren't overcome completely. As far as the Levites go, it says, Salakia, bless Lord his substance and accept the work of his hands. This is going into when the French overtook the Haitians, they became one of the most powerful, richest nations because of the Levites' work, right? Blessed is his hands. Or the Lord accepts the works of his hands. It says, Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. So when you go into Haitian history, These are the people, as far as slave revolts go, that had successful slave revolts. And they even went to places like Mexico and the Americas, or North America, helping the Issacharites, which are the Mexicans and the so-called Judah, to help them with successful slave revolts, because no other tribe was blessed like this. They were unsuccessful when they did try to revolt against the nations that the Most High has sent against us, right? So this is a spiritual blessing of Haitians, or so-called Levites. Let's go to, actually, so Levites would be the Haitians. They also moved into places like Louisiana, so the Creole, there's a lot of Haitians there. The Negroes in Cuba would be Haitians. Trinidad, the Bahamas, St. Lucia, places like where you have Negroes in Brazil. In the Salakia, suburbs of the Dominicas will be Haitians, Guadeloupe, and Martinique, right? These are, because it says that we would, the nation of, or the tribe of Levi would be scattered into Israel, right? Even back in Moses' days, when everyone was getting their inheritance, the Levites were not given an land inheritance. They were scattered through the tribes because they needed to do their priestly duties in the lands where the tribes were. So let's get that again before we move on. Genesis 49. I'm tripping. Genesis 49. It says, Genesis 49:7, cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So, Levites, you can find them amongst all the tribes, right? For the most part, I gave you a breakdown of where you can find them for the majority of them. But the attributes attributed to lawyer would be their impartiality as far as judgment. If you go into a Levite community, a Haitian community, they are indifferent when it comes to homosexuality or other wicked acts, right? Even though they're going off and they're doing this voodoo and things, they have this spirit about them that they know certain things are wicked and will not be tolerated. They have no tolerance for nothing like these abominable acts such as homosexuality. They'll still stone you in certain places as far as dealing with Haitians. Let's go. Let's go to Simeon. Because it says Levi and Simeon are brothers. Right? Genesis 49. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitation. Again, like I said, all these sons, they're brothers, but Levi and Simeon are brothers. They have this relationship of being cruel. Both of them are cruel. Both of them have these instruments of cruelty in their habitation, which is the so-called witchcraft that they go into, the voodoo and the Santeria. And they live on the same island, right? So this is why it's putting these two tribes together like this. And it says, O my soul, come not unto their secret, unto their assembly, my honor. Be not thou united, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a well. So when their sister Dinah was defiled or was married to this heathen, right? They killed this man, and then they killed the whole nation of people, the whole nation of men. All right, so Jacob, it was we knew from Abraham and from Isaac that we didn't want to, according to Abraham and Isaac, they didn't want their sons to go into these heathen nations, especially Canaanites, right? So when this happened and this Hamite took their sister Dinah, they were angry. And like it says, cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. They went and killed this man, right? So Simeon would be another tribe that is attributed to being cruel and partial, which is not a bad thing, right? It's just getting dis disconnected from our heritage. We don't know how to channel that in the right way. But let's go to Judah. All right. Verse 8, it says in Genesis 49 and 8, Judah, thou art whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? So Judah would be the so-called African Americans that were brought over here from 1620 on through the 1800s from the west coast of Africa over here to North America, right? It says Judah is who the other tribes are going to praise. Judah is who we're looking for to wake up so we can get things popping, right? As far as the other tribes go, they have a sense of nationality about them, a sense of camaraderie about them, a sense of togetherness that so-called Judah does not have. Judah feels, for the most part, pretty comfortable out here living the life they live in the America and the slavery. So we're looking for Judah as the head tribe to wake up, actually. Let's see. Because, like I said, Reuben is the firstborn, right? But Judah is the one who was given the blessing to be the head tribe. And the reason being is because, like we read about Reuben, they went up into their father's couch, they defiled their father's bed, they slept with their father's wife. So the birthright was taken from Reuben. So real quick, this is Salakia. This is First Chronicles 5, and I'll start at 1. It says, now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn. But for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, the son of Israel. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. So Reuben lost his birthright because of the act he did defiling his father's bed. Verse 2, it says, for Judah prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph. So now, after this act, after this, after Reuben went into his father's bed, the birthright was given to Judah. Judah is the leader of the tribe, the head tribe, right? It says, "Thou art who thy brother shall praise." The Israelites as a nation are the light to the world, the salt to the earth. But Judah, this is it's magnified with Judah's blessing. So real quick, I'll give you Matthew 5. Matthew 5, and I'll start at 13. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost its flavor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. It says, Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So nationally, Israelites are the light of the world, the salt to the earth. But like I said, it's been magnified as far as the blessing of Judah. Actually, let's go to Deuteronomy. It says Deuteronomy 33:7. And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies. So this is who we're looking for to lead the nation of Israel. As far as waking up all the other 12 tribes, getting this thing popping, right? Let's go back to Genesis. Let's go back to Genesis 49. Look, I'll finish on Judah. Genesis 49:10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Just speaking about who we're looking for to lead us. So-called African Americans need to wake up, come back into this truth, and take their position as the leaders of the nation. This is also speaking about Yahushua, right? Shiloh, or the peaceable one, would be Yahushua, and unto him, our king, is who ultimately we're going to be gathered under. Says, binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass is cold unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Speaking about Yahushua, right? The milk being indicative of the laws and the faith, the milk of the scriptures, and his eyes being red with wine would be these deep, dark parables, proverbs, wise sayings, the heavy breakdowns of the scriptures, right? Says he's going to come, he's going to be the one to straighten out all these differences of doctrine. But speaking about the tribe of Judah, wake up, we're looking for you to lead us, right? Let's go to Zebulon. Let's see, am I missing anything? No. So Zebulon would be the Mayans, right, from Guatemala to Panama. Says, Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and shall be for a haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Right? Like we read at the beginning, how we know this is speaking about these end times and what our people are going through at this time and age, is that Jacob said he's going to prophesy unto them what's going to happen to them in the latter end, or the latter days. right? If you look at a map of Israel and where the 12 tribes were situated, Zebulun was landlocked, right? They didn't dwell at a haven of ships, which is part of the reason why we can break these tribes down regionally because certain things in the scripture give us a certain area, and we'll get into that as we go with a few of the other tribes. But it says, Zebulun shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and shall be for a haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Panama is one of the largest havens of ships in the world, right? But it says, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Zebulun was first landlocked, also nowhere near Tyre and Zidon. The reason this is speaking about the latter days and how we know their position from Guatemala to Panama is the Olmecs that came over here, the Canaanites that Solomon used to come over here and pick up gold from Ophir, which was Peru. They had a they start settling right between right between the Mayans and the Aztecs, right? That's why it says, and his border shall be unto Zidon, because those are the people who were bordering this tribe, right? This is something that the 12 tribe chart deniers, they don't have an answer for, as far as people who don't believe so-called Hispanics are Israelites. You can't show us anywhere in history where Zebulon bordered Zidon, other than over here in the Americas, right? So let's go to um, Salakia. Let's go to Deuteronomy 33. Deuteronomy 33 and 18 says, and of Zebulun he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. And they shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck the abundance of the seas and the treasures hid in the sand. So, as far as Zebulun and Issachar go, they're positioned in a place where they have certain resources from the sea and from the